Or maybe she did land on another tiny little island, but succumbed to the brutal tropic environment. Some speculate, eaten by crabs. In 1937, the U.S. Navy picked up strange radio signals for 3 days after Amelia Earhart vanished. They logged them. They recorded them. Then they classified them. For 85 years, a Freedom of Information request just forced them to release the tapes. Experts confirmed it's her voice. She wasn't lost. She knew exactly where she was. She even said why she couldn't take off again. But the most shocking part is that she wasn't alone on that island. Someone else was talking in the background. Someone who shouldn't have been there. Amelia Mary Earhart was born on July 24, 1897. She entered the world in her grandfather's grand Gothic revival mansion in Akeson, Kansas. From the very start, her life was a mix of privilege and rebellion. Her grandfather, Judge Alfred Gideon Otis, was a powerful man who led the Aches Savings Bank. He didn't approve of Amelia's father, Edwin Earhart, because Edwin's future seemed shaky. But Amelia's mother, Amy, didn't care. She had her own ideas about life and raising children. Instead of dressing Amelia and her sister Muriel in frilly dresses, Amy let them wear bloomers. They climbed trees, hunted rats, and zoomed down hills on sleds. Their grandmother was horrified. Once, when Amelia was just 7, she built a roller coaster ramp off the roof of the tool shed. She climbed into a wooden box and shot down the ramp. The crash was rough. She ended up with a bruised lip and a torn dress, but she jumped up and shouted, "Oh, Pidge, it's just like flying." That wild joy for adventure never left her. But behind the fun and games was a painful truth. Edwin Earhart, despite his charm, battled alcoholism. He started out well working as a lawyer and later as a railroad attorney, but his drinking cost him jobs, business chances, and even the family's money. Amy often had to take the girls back to her parents' house for safety. Amelia and Muriel moved from Kansas to Iowa to Minnesota to Illinois, never sure where they would land next. The stress of watching her father struggle made Amelia determined to stand on her own. She promised herself she would never depend on anyone else to survive. As she grew, Amelia kept breaking the rules of what a girl was supposed to be. She climbed fences, shot at rats, and ignored anyone who told her, "Ladies, don't do that." Even at school, she stood her ground. When she saw something unfair, she spoke up. Once, she led a fight to remove a teacher who wasn't doing the job right. Her classmates turned against her for it, but Amelia didn't back down. By 1916, when she finished high school in Chicago, everyone knew she wasn't like other girls. She went her own way. After high school, life didn't get easier. Her father lost job after job. Her mother's inheritance disappeared in bad investments. But Amelia stayed strong. She enrolled at OAN School in Pennsylvania, one of the best schools for girls. When World War I broke out, she volunteered as a nurse's aide. Every hard turn in her young life made her tougher. Amelia Earhart's dream of flying was not something handed to her. She had to fight for it. In the early 1920s, flying lessons cost $1,000, which would be more than $15,000 today. Her family couldn't help. They had lost their wealth because of her father's drinking and hard times. So, Amelia worked. She took any job she could find. She was a photographer, a stenographer. She even became a truck driver, which was rare for women back then. Fewer than 5% of truck drivers were female. She taught English to immigrant children. She worked as a nurse's aide during the Spanish flu. All of this just so she could afford lessons from Anita Snook, the first woman to graduate from the Curtis School of Aviation. Amelia didn't care how hard it was. She would do whatever it took. But working hard wasn't enough. Amelia knew she had to fit in if she wanted to be taken seriously in a world ruled by men. So, she changed herself. She cut her hair short, copying the style of other female pilots like Na Snook and Harriet Quimby. When she bought her first leather flying jacket, she felt embarrassed because it looked too new. She slept in it for 3 nights to make it look worn. She wanted to seem like a seasoned pilot. This wasn't just for looks. It was survival. In a world where fewer than 1% of pilots were women, any sign of inexperience could mean being pushed aside. In 1921, less than a year after she started flying lessons, Amelia made a bold move. She bought her own plane. It was a bright yellow Canarierster biplane. She named it the Canary. It cost $2,000, which would be more than $30,000 today. Every dollar came from the jobs she had worked so hard at. The plane wasn't easy to fly. It had a 60-horsepower engine and an open cockpit, but Amelia didn't care. She skipped meals to pay for fuel and parts. The Canary became her classroom. People at the airfield knew her by that yellow plane. Amelia didn't just dream. She acted fast. On October 26, 1922, less than 2 years after her first lesson, she flew the Canary to 14,000 feet that broke the women's world altitude record. Most pilots stayed under 5,000 feet. Engines failed at high altitudes. Oxygen was low, but Amelia pushed higher. The record was official. In 1923, she became the 16th woman in the world to earn an international pilot's license. Fewer than 200 women had pilot licenses anywhere at that time. Aviation was new, and Amelia was already changing what people thought was possible. By 1924, Amelia Earhart's world had fallen apart. The money that once kept her family secure was gone. At its height, the inheritance left to her mother had been worth over $60,000. In today's terms, that would be close to $1 million, but bad decisions drained it away. Amy Earhart had tried to recover from earlier losses by investing in a gypsum mine. That plan ended in disaster. The mine was wiped out by a flash flood that killed its manager, Peter Barnes. By 1921, only $20,000 of the fortune remained. 3 years later, there was nothing left. Amelia was nearly 27. She had no choice but to take any work she could find. She worked small jobs just to survive. She later described those tough days with simple, harsh words. No pay, no fly, and no work, no pay. But the loss of money wasn't the only blow. The family's stability crumbled too. Her parents married